On the morning of May 14, 1988, Amaury Rivera, a young man from Puerto Rico, photographed a giant disc, followed and circled by two jet interceptors. What makes the sensational pictures even more interesting is Rivera's claim that he had contact with the occupants of this UFO.
Hello, my name is Amaury Rivera. I live in Puerto Rico, and back in 1988, I was working in a nightclub, and there was a musical group there. One of my cousins wanted me to photograph the musical group, and she loaned me a camera with some film. On my way back home, I encountered two small beings, two small strange men, which I didn't think were men from outer space. And they took me somewhere where there were other people besides myself, other human people, like from Puerto Rico, I guess. From here, another human being showed up. He claimed to be from a distant planet. He was dressed in black. He had a dark skin, but he was not a Negro. He had a long black hair up to the shoulders, and he spoke to us with the mouth, verbally, and no telepathic speaking. He showed us various projections, which looked very real, the projections, and he informed us about a whole bunch of things that are even still incredible to me. Then they returned me to...
What did this holographic projection show?
The holographs were mainly, the first one that I can remember was like a short trip through space. We saw where he came from, where he's said to be from. We saw his people, we saw the houses that they use. And the second one was about a meteor or a rock falling to Earth in the near future, which is going to cause a lot of havoc in the world. This would fall, it's going to fall in very near the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, and those other small islands, but it's going to affect the whole world, not just Puerto Rico. The last one is that they projected was showing us how there was only going to be one government on the planet Earth. They'll be living on some sort of artificial island that's going to be floating in the middle of a dark, black, dirty sea. And then this man returned me to my car again and left me somewhere different from where the whole ordeal had started. Apparently, they took me with car and all. After this, at this given time, I heard some jets in the sky, and I still had my cousin's camera, and I took the pictures, 4 of which I'm making public nowadays.
So the jets followed the UFO?
Yes, it was. They seemed to be surveilling it. I only got to capture just one of the jets in the photograph, but there were 3 of them. Or maybe I got in one of the photos one, and in the second or third I got one of the other ones, because they would go around it very far away, and while this one was closer, and turn, very far, very far. And by the time this one was coming back, another one was turning over there. There was always one or the other close to the object, to the UFO.
Jürgen Martin has carefully investigated this case.
Amaury Rivera's case to me, is a very special one and a very important one, because in Amaury's case, he was abducted and he was taken away by aliens. One of them was human-like, and 2 small creatures that they explained to him were some type of genetical or biological organic android that they made to do some chores outside so they don't have to risk themselves in our environment. That's what they explained to him, the so-called human alien that he saw in the craft. And it's important also because of the evidences that he has on the case, because when he was released, he had a camera with him, and he was able to take pictures of the object that apparently had abducted him, the craft, flying saucer type, and also some jet fighters from the United States, excuse me, F-14 again, in most of these cases in the island, F-14s are involved with these situations of chasing and harassment and checking on these objects when they are seen in the different areas of the island. And he was able to get them in those pictures together. So this clearly, when you see those photographs, it's obvious that the government has been lying for many years, because there's the UFO there, and there's also the jet fighters dealing with the situation, which they denied for more than 40 years. It's there.
Were you able to locate any other witnesses?
That's what I was going to explain at this moment, Michael. The Amaury's case is also very important because I have several people who apparently had been contacted by the same alien that abducted Amaury and the small ones that were with him in a separate fashion. They have nothing to do with Amaury's incident. This being, this human-like alien, is contacting people all around the area of the southwest of Puerto Rico. I have people from the town of Yauco who seem to have been contacted by this man. I have this fisherman, Andres Maldonado, who I got in contact with Amaury because he told me several things Amaury had told no one before, only I knew them, about the name of the alien and all the details that he was using to check on the people who really may have been in contact with the same being the night he was abducted, because there were about 14 other people there in the craft that night. And when Maldonado told me all this information that he couldn't know because he was not involved with the Amaury's case, I got them together. And at this moment I have about 3 different people who seem to have been in contact with the same alien. So they are doing something, and they are getting in contact with more and more people and preparing people for something. And this is very important because all this corroborates Amaury's incident also.
Mr. Martin, are there any official statements regarding the incidents in Puerto Rico?
As a matter of fact, due to the situation happening in the southwest of Puerto Rico, it's all around the island, but in the southwest it's more obvious, more visible because of the many incidents that are happening there constantly. And it's a heavily populated area. The police and the civil defense and the authorities began a very intensive disinformation program, trying to ridicule and to make everything seen as a lie, as fabrication by those people who were informing all of this. But fortunately, after they began doing this, especially the Civil Defense Agency in Puerto Rico, a source of ours gave us this letter that was sent secretly by the State Director of the Civil Defense Agency of Puerto Rico, Colonel Jose M. Enoya, in which he states clearly that the situation is real, that they are keeping an eye on the situation and investigating everything, just to be sure that what is happening and these sightings and this incident with UFOs and USOs, unknown submerged objects also, because they come out from the sea and into the sea. Many people have seen this happen there. It's not a threat to the security of the people of Puerto Rico on the Puerto Rican territory. As you know, something that doesn't exist can be a threat to anyone. There's also another thing. He says here that several agencies of Puerto Rico are involved in the investigation secretly, the military, the Radio Observatory of Arecibo, and they have always denied for many years that they had anything to do whatever with the UFO situation, and it's stated here by him that they do have something to do and they are checking on the situation. And Mr. Noya, these words written by him are very important because he's the liaison between the Puerto Rico National Guard Army and the Defense Intelligence Agency. He's their man in Puerto Rico. Yes, and the Defense Intelligence Agency is like the CIA in the military. So he knows what he's talking about.
Other witnesses contacted Amaury himself.
So far, between 1988 and 1992, I've been able to localize 7 of these people. Because I've gone on different TV shows and different articles, and I've always been asking if anybody remembers anything similar happening to them, and that year, during that time, Mother's Day, to please get in touch with me. And I have gotten in touch with hundreds of people, but out of the hundreds, 7 definitely were there with me. I still have 7 to go. Maybe I'll never find them. Maybe they'll see this.
You investigated the Rivera case, Colonel Stevens. What was your impression?
Well, of course, Jorge Martin took me to meet Amaury Rivera shortly after I got there with the Mexican team to study some phenomena in Puerto Rico. And when I first met Amaury, he was very reluctant to describe his case because it still frightened him to think about it. And it took some time before we could develop enough confidence where he was comfortable talking to us about the case. But he would still tremble when he thought about it. He would turn pale. He'd become weak. He was frightened. But he has now reviewed the details and the points in sufficient length and depth that he can face the experience without the trauma, which he has learned to do. And today, or yesterday, we saw for the first time that he is able to manage his emotions well enough to describe that contact in considerable detail.
You carefully analyzed the Rivera photographs.
We took the pictures, yes. We took the pictures taken by Amaury Rivera to a NASA consultant facility in Scottsdale, where we put them through a computer analysis using latest state-of-the-art equipment. And we found that both the disc-shaped craft seen in the photographs and the aircraft are considerable distance from the camera, between 3 and 5 miles. We discovered that the jet fighter was moving and that the disc-shaped craft was moving relatively slow or not moving at all. We discovered that the ambient light conditions were correct in all respects. We were able to eliminate montages, paste-ups, reflections, models, all kinds of forms of technical manipulation of photographs, and we had to conclude that the pictures were real and that they were exactly as described by the witness when he took the photographs.
Actually, Amaury Rivera was intimidated and pressured by government agents to hand over his pictures.
Well, a short time after the incident, 3 men showed up at my home in Puerto Rico, and one of them stood in their car downstairs. And they claimed to be from CIA. And they handed me 2 pieces of paper, which I was so nervous I couldn't really read, but I remember seeing the letter CIA, which is the intelligence agency from the United States, and they said that it would be easier and better for me if I handed them the photographs and the negatives, but they did not say, what photographs or what negatives. They didn't specify, and I just told them that I did not know what they were talking about. And they said it would be easier because we have an order to register your house, to look through your house. And I said, well, go ahead, be my guest and look. And they looked, but they couldn't find them because I had hid them very well.
Friends, this was our today's video. We hope you loved the video. Well, if you did, please like the video and share it with your family and friends. And if you have come to our channel for the first time, kindly subscribe to our channel, and along with it, push the bell icon to get notifications for our new videos. So that's it for today. We shall meet you again with some interesting facts. Till then, Namaste.